All right. First item of the agenda. Consider establishing a policy for the use of Spalding County Board of Commissioners official letterhead stationery.
Madam Chairman, Mr. Fortune has prepared just a small paragraph regarding the use of stationery. It might be helpful to say that in the past, official stationery has been the only thing available for any commissioner to use should they choose to write individualized letters. That hasn't happened very often, but sometimes it does. But one thing that staff is recommending is individualized stationery for each commissioner, and we attach samples to the agenda where if individual commissioners wish to send out official correspondence from their, as a district commissioner, they can do so. And we have prepared electronic versions of that, which each commissioner can utilize on their personal computer or here, and we can print them off. But it just lists Spalding County Commissioner and then lists with the commissioner's name and the district, has the post office box, the website, the fax number, everything at the bottom. We haven't had this available before, and we thought it might be a good thing for each commissioner to have their own quote-unquote stationery. But again, it's in electronic form. We do not intend to print it, so there should be no cost on that. But it was just offered as a suggestion. But Mr. Fortune, okay.
When I did this, I think the objective of this was to ensure that if one of the commissioners did send a letter to somebody about something, if it was not official county business, that there would be no mistake by the recipient that it was. In other words, that the personal opinion of a commissioner would not be misinterpreted to be the wishes of the board. A distinction between when you're doing something with board approval versus when you're simply doing something individually. And I don't begin to think that what I have done here is adequate, but I just really candidly couldn't come up with anything better. It might be, and I thought about this later, that if we use the individual stationery, that it'd be the practice if you're sending a letter and it's not with board approval, that you recite that in your letter, that this is my personal opinion and this does not represent the opinion of the board. So something to distinguish it, that this is me talking, this is not the board talking, if that makes sense.
I did send out an email on the county manager's listserv and asked if any other of the 158 counties in Georgia had a official use policy. None of them did. I did get a couple back that said if you do get one, let me know. If you come up with one, let me know. But no one had done one. So in the state of Georgia, so I couldn't get any help there.
As far as these examples are concerned, our email address is not www.spaldingcounty.com. And I mean, if it's going to be personalized stationery, it needs to have information on it that's personal to us in our capacity as commissioners. So, I mean, the same thing that you would find on our business card should be the same thing that should be on the letterhead.
We can change it. Those were just first drafts. That's just what we came up with on first try.
They're all the same, correct?
Yes, ma'am. They're all identical right now.
Rita's and Barnes.
Rita says chairman, and
I'm
Barnes
sorry.
says vice chairman.
Yes. Okay. Sorry. Chairperson. Chairman. I'm sorry. Chairman and vice chairman. I'm sorry. But that's the county website at the bottom. We can take that off. We can take out all references at the bottom and just put your personal, what's on your business card if it's different, if that's what you want.
Then let's put that on the bottom of the letterhead for each commissioner by District C.
Okay?
What was that again?
We'll put the personal information that's on our business card, county business cards, on the bottom of the personal commissioner district letterhead. Because they'll say Spalding County Board of Commissioners, the commissioner's name, and then the district they represent. And then the information that's on the business card will go on the bottom.
Well, your phone number and stuff.
Yeah.
Most
Get with them
commissioners,
on what you want on there and not want on there. Just
Yeah.
I mean, it doesn't bother me. I mean, I'm not gonna use it anyway.
Okay.
I won't write letters.
most commissioners use the P.O. Box 1087, but y'all tell us what you want on there, and we'll put it on.
Just use my business card information.
That's fine.
Does anybody not want their business card information on the bottom of their stationery?
I'm trying to, I think on the mine I have my home phone number and something else, but I mean, I don't have a problem with that. I think that it probably should say, I'll go back and see if I can see that again. It probably should say the commissioner's name, and their district. If it says Spalding County Commissioner, Windflowers Table, and it does say District 1. And then at the bottom, you can, I mean, I would like for it to say maybe office, post office box, da-da-da-da-da-da, because I don't want people mailing stuff necessarily to my house.
What if we do this? What if we give each of you your page and ask you to fill in however across the bottom you want it, and then we got it there? How's that?
Okay.
Anything else for this?
Yeah, I want to go back to the resolution. The resolution said, that probably should say, be it resolved that no person shall use the letterhead stationery of the Spalding County Board of Commissioners
Right.
without prior written approval of a majority of the Board of Commissioners or the county clerk, who is,
William.
Me.
okay, why do we need permission from William to use that stationery? William worked for us.
He's the county clerk.
It doesn't matter.
I don't have a problem with William holding on to the paper.
That's the,
No, I'm not saying him hold on the paper. I'm saying I don't need the prior approval of the county manager to write a letter on that stationery. Now, if I gotta have the majority of the board, I'm good with that. I mean, this is not anything to denigrate him, but
well, let's just take it out there.
Yeah,
It would
let's-
be
let's
more
get that
convenient
straight.
for a commissioner to swear with William is the reason it's in there than it would be to wait to get board approval, but that's fine.
well, yeah, but I mean, I just feel like if it's something that the entire board is, that means that William needs to make a decision whether or not he feels like it's that. So if the
Okay.
board needs to approve it, then I'd rather have the board to approve it. The
All right.
use of Spalding County Board of Commissioners letterhead stationery to express personal opinions on any subject shall not be permitted unless previously authorized. That is redundant and contradictory. First, we say you cannot use it without prior approval, then you say you can use it with authorization to express your personal opinion. Either you can't express your personal opinion on county letterhead, or you can.
Okay, well, that's a decision y'all.
That's what I'm saying. I mean, I think it's crazy for us to say that we can give permission to express our personal opinion on county letterhead when we're saying, don't express your personal opinion on county letterhead. Am I making sense here to anybody?
Well, sometimes the board expresses the board's opinion on
But then that would be
letterhead.
the majority of the board,
Yeah.
you'd have a vote on that, so that's
Okay.
okay.
You're a lawyer.
So no
Is that
personal
Well, if
opinion.
you gotta have
without
written
power
approval.
authority covers that.
Saying,
I said, no personal opinion without power authority. Just put that in there.
well,
And
let me make sure, maybe the first sentence standing alone might be adequate.
I think
It
so.
says, be it resolved, no person shall use the letterhead stationery of Spalding County Board of Commissioners without the prior written approval of a majority of the Board of Commissioners. Now, that does not prevent you from using your own letterhead, but this is the letterhead of the entire
Board
board.
of Commissioners. I mean, because that will designate that everybody's name on that page is of the opinion of whatever it is that letter says. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt. Commissioner Hopback was trying to say something.
So, you're talking about two forms of stationery, one for just the Board of Commissioners as a whole, and then you prepared these individualized items of stationery. Yeah, I guess that's fine if we edit this down to the first sentence only, if we're talking about just that letterhead. You know, going back to, I guess, the issue that and the events that brought this to our attention, I think there ought to be a policy in place. I guess it's not specifically addressed in the Code of Ethics, but we shouldn't, in my opinion, we should not be either individually or as a board getting involved in judicial proceedings. And then maybe it could be expanded beyond that, but I don't think it should, because then, you know, first of all, we're not typically, you know, Spalding County itself isn't necessarily the prosecuting entity. The district attorney is, you know, the Board of Commissioners aren't, or if there's civil litigation, that sort of a thing, we act either in open or in executive session, giving direction to our legal counsel on how to communicate to the court. I think that there should be a policy in place that would prohibit the use of stationery to, you know, like in this instance, express an opinion on anything associated with Spalding County, other than you know, to a judge, and get involved because of the risk of sending mixed messages and you know, confusing the judge in terms of what this county is asking the judge to accomplish. I mean, some people may not agree with me, but I think there's a lot of value in the prestige of the office of Spalding County Commissioner, and it's in a way it's a use of public, not the fractional cent that a piece of paper and print costs, but I think it's the use of public resources to express those types of opinions, and in this instance, it was, you know, it was for the benefit of somebody that you know, the rest of the board may not have individually chosen to endorse or to advocate for. So, as far as this resolution is concerned, and as far as the type of stationery you're talking about, yeah, that's fine. Majority required to send something on the Spalding County letterhead that has all the commissioners listed, and William and Mr. Fortune is our attorney. That's all fine, but I would actually like to see it expanded. And I can't, at this point, think of anything else beyond, I guess, judicial activity. I just don't think we should be ourselves communicating on Spalding County letterhead of any kind that might be an opinion or a viewpoint that is, you know, that would be inconsistent or might send mixed messages. That's my thought.
Okay, Raymond?
Additionally, when we as commissioners decide we're going to, if we take it upon ourselves to write a personal opinion on board letterhead, we're implying consensus through the board. And that's the way I read that, and that's the way I think it's being read, it would be read by the recipient. And we have to be careful about what we say because of the liability we create being county commissioners. and we could put the county in a bad position or in a situation that we would regret in a moment of voicing our opinion when we should sit back and count to 10. Me being a prime example. But the bottom line comes down to is, I agree with Don, we shouldn't use county letterhead with all the names on it and positions without approval of the board in any case, just to prevent liability issues.
I have a comment too, Madam Chairman. First of all, let's just get to the meat of this. The letter that we're talking about that was written on the only stationery that was available. I've used this stationery multiple times. I would like to know if a constituent asks you to write them a letter, character letter, letter of reference, whatever, what is the expectation? Are we going to start saying you only do it for judicial, you can do it for this, you can do it for that? As a commissioner, each one of us is elected by approximately 8,000 people in our district, and they have an expectation for us to serve them, not only if you know them personally, whether you go to church with them or whatever. That is a prestige that comes with this office. However, I don't consider Judge Batten to be a blockhead. If I write a letter and I say that I'm Commissioner Flowers Taylor from District 1, I'm pretty sure that he knows I'm not speaking for the entire board. Secondly, in those proceedings, the trial, the judicial part of the trial is over except for the sentencing. It could not possibly make any difference in whether or not this individual was judged innocent or guilty, okay? So I appreciate your comments. I appreciate Commissioner Hallbaker's comments. I think that, and this is not to say that I think all lawyers are brilliant, but I think they are also intelligent enough, they have to be lawyers before they're judges, to figure out what a letter is saying, okay? So I don't take anything away from them, from that. I agree with the fact that we need our own letterhead, because they do, I checked with Fulton County, DeKalb County, each commissioner has their own letterhead. Of course, they all have an office staff too, with somebody to type the letters. But that being said, I'm fine with that. I'm fine with the fact that the board agrees that there should not be anything written on Spalding County letterhead without, not the express permission of the majority of the board, without permission of the Board of Commissioners. Will that slow things down? I don't think so, because anything that has to be signed for the Board of Commissioners has to be signed by the chairman or the vice chairman in their absence. So it's generally going to be something that we've already voted on. So I don't, I can't say that the thing that Commissioner Ray and Commissioner Hallbaker feel is not real to them. That is not real to me. So, I mean, I think it's, if the board chooses to go into depth with that, that's fine. And this letterhead policy, it does not address how letterhead is used in the departments, because the department stationery that was used by Robbie Milner to write a letter had Kelly and TJ's name on it. And I'm just thinking, how come they can get stationery with their name on it and it has a Spalding County letterhead just like the regular Spalding County letterhead, but we as commissioners can't? So if it's going to be like that, then you create a Spalding County letterhead for everybody and just let them sign their names and their departments under it. I mean, because it makes me start to wonder, if you can print out letterhead for Parks and Rec, do you print out letterheads for Public Works? Do you print out letterheads for Planning and Development? Do you print it out for the Elections Office? But you can't afford to print it out for us. Where are they doing that? So if you're going to do it, be fair about it. It's okay for you to print us out 2,500 business cards, but you can't print us out stationery that appears to look like the same thing as Spalding County. So have one policy that addresses everybody writing letters. Because at the time, from what I understood from the email, there was requests for William to recommend to Parks and Rec that Mr. Milner be given a reprimand, which was disciplinary action for writing letter on the stationery for misuse of county property. Now, I've seen people sit up here in the front and try to make checks to write out, and when the check messes up in the machine, they throw it in the trash can. Nobody charged them with misuse of county property. It's a piece of paper and a copier. So I'm opposed to people being punished for something that there is no rule for, and I'm opposed to us having a policy that specifically addresses us as commissioners and doesn't address everybody else. So we either need to have one stationery and everybody for offices, and everybody sign their name and their title at the bottom, and it will be board or commissioner stationery so that it's only county business that happens with it. That'll cut out all this other. Or you can have the same kind of stationery that you have for them for us, because they have their name clearly written on it with their department. Do you have some examples of those?
Each individual department has their own stationery. They always have. We were just trying to make it in electronic form so that it wouldn't cost anything. If you want to spend money to print it, that's fine.
No, but do they print theirs out each time they need it?
Most of them put it and have it in electronic form like this so that it's printed. I know that Park and Rec does, that's correct?
That's correct.
Mr. Crane, is yours pre-printed or do you have it electronic form?
We had some old pre-printed, but we have an electronic form now.
Mr. Jacobs?
Electronic.
See, so...
So is Mr. Crane's name on the header on his...
Yes, ma'am?
And is planning and development on the header of theirs? Okay, so why can't, why shouldn't our stationery be like theirs?
Well, it's going to be basically, I mean, if we use these. And one other thing, this little resolution is referring to that no person, not just us, but no person shall use the official, I added that, letterhead stationery, Spalding County Board of Commissioners without the prior written approval of the majority of the Board of Commissioners. Period. In fact, I can take out without of a majority, because if you don't have a majority, you don't have the approval. So that's
but I'm saying the stationery that they use in the departments, isn't that official Board of Commissioners stationery?
No, ma'am, it's their department's official stationery.
No, because it's
And do they run anything past you once, if there's any question?
No.
No,
They don't, okay.
no,
They don't have to send it to you,
no, sir.
even a copy of it after they've seen it. So
95% of the stuff they send electronic copies, yes, sir. Because y'all see those, like the Park and Rec, you see them all the time, the Park and Rec suspensions.
You don't have a copy of any of your stationery up here?
Who's stationary?
Park and Rec, planning, development.
Madam Chair,
Yeah, Commissioner Ray.
we're running around in distractions here. The core meat here is, and I agree, I'm not going to write a personal letter on county letterhead with everybody's name on it, past or present, for a convicted felon for his sentencing. I'm not going to do that. I don't think, I'm not going to speak for any other board member. But the issue comes down here is, we have addressed the letterhead for the commissioners, and that we're going to get an electronic copy of what we've got laid in front of us. And we addressed that at the bottom on how we want it to read so that our constituents can get back to us. That way we can address things as a county commissioner of our district, not as a board opinion. So I think we solved that. The Parks and Rec issue, I disagree with how that has been handled. There's been implied threats made of situations you don't want to, comment of you don't want to do that. That's an implied threat to me. And when we have a personnel policy on use of county resources, and county resources are misused by personnel, that is not a call by the county commissioners. That is a call by the county manager, because we are under a county manager rule, a form of government. And William handles the discipline of the employees, him with the director of the respective office. We shouldn't be getting into that. Now, we can talk to William, but ultimately it's his call. And I think we should leave it there. There's been some other examples recently where I think we're getting into William's business, and we don't need to be. All we're doing is causing distractions, slowing it down and muddying the water. And that's not what we should be doing. We should be looking ahead for Spalding County, the constituents of Spalding County. And really, this issue here should not even be, we should not be addressing it, but we are because it happened. And so I think we've answered the question on use of the letterhead. We've provided each commissioner a letterhead. You know, whether we have stationery, I don't want personal stationery. It's just a cost to the taxpayer. I'll go buy my own if I wanted that bad. But printing it off the computer is good enough for me.
This is Park and Recreation. Now, this is original, so please give that back. That is Park and Rec, and you can tell it's printed on a computer. I have, let's see who this is. Yes, ma'am. That's bad, but that's a Public Works. You can see how theirs does. I also have a question because I send out letters every day on Spalding County stationery. That is a letter that will go out today to an engineer for a utility permit on Spalding County right-of-way. How does that resolution affect that, sir?
Yeah,
Well,
because you really
that would
shouldn't
be a
be sending
problem.
anything out with our name on it.
Because you're a person.
But this is official business.
Right.
Mhm. Contrary to what Commissioner Ray says, this is an issue. It's not just about the Board of Commissioners. It's about everybody who writes a letter on the Spalding County letterhead. If there's a Spalding County letterhead for the county manager, then William needs if he's acting in his capacity as the county manager, then he needs his letterhead. I mean, I'm just simply saying based on what our rule is.
When you sign under your name, doesn't it say county manager?
Yes, sir.
I thought so.
It says William P. Wilson, Jr., County Manager.
Right.
There you go.
Okay.
Just like I signed my letter, Wynn Flowers Taylor, District 1 County Commissioner. So, but they're going to assume, based on what you guys say, that William is speaking for the Board of Commissioners when he writes anything, correct?
He is.
Okay. That's all. And we do need to address it in terms of any individuals other than the Board of Commissioners. So, you know, I'm simply saying, let's not just fix this and put a Band-Aid on it. Let's settle it for everybody.
Madam Chair,
Commissioner Ray.
I'd like to make a correction here in that the letter written, I have a copy of it here. The letter written by Commissioner Flowers Taylor to Judge Batten is not signed Commissioner Gwen Flowers Taylor, District 1. It is signed Commissioner Gwen Flowers Taylor.
Oh, excuse me. Did I say chairman?
You got vice
Did
chairman.
I say we anywhere in there? And, you know, I really don't, you know, I didn't realize there was an issue with that letter until I talked to the chairman and she explained to me that the stationery was old, but that's the stationery that I got from here. Now, and I'm not saying that that was either Kathy's fault or Ricky's fault that the stationery had been changed. I hope that it's been changed now.
I believe it.
But, you know, certainly that was not my intent, and excuse me for making a mistake, so. But, you know, getting back to this, I'm just simply saying, if this is such a big issue, it's an issue worth us having a workshop over, then the workshop should be to come up with a comprehensive plan for this. And I did make the comment to Mr. Wilson in an email that this was not the fight that he wanted to have, because it's not a personal issue with him, but because this issue has gone the way that it's gone, I have to believe that any person who decides to send someone a reprimand based on them writing a letter without a policy, in lieu of all this, has to be doing it other than a reason that you want to discipline that person because there's not a policy. Go ahead.
We do have a policy. We have personnel policies that cover county employees. We didn't have a policy for the use of Board of Commissioners.
Right.
We have a policy
But
for all
your-
employees.
But your reprimand is for destruction of misuse of county property.
Correct, because he didn't have authorization to write the letter.
No, there's nothing that says that he has to have authorization to write the letter. Where does it say, where's that policy? And you know what, I'm not trying to tell you what you do, how to do your job, I'm just saying you're doing, that was screwed up. That's what I'm saying.
Commissioner Miller, you have something to add?
I think that every department should, anybody's got access to the paper, should read the personnel orders too. A lot of people we don't even know it. I didn't know it was in there, you said something to me about it, as far as equipment. I mean, you don't look, and I guarantee you, 90% of the employees that have access to stuff don't know it's there either. They need to be made aware of what's there so they know. You know, I'm not out here, I called you because we were recommending, or we weren't recommending, we went over this thing with Glenn, Robbie was brought up. I had no intentions of breaking any penalty to Robbie. The only thing I wanted to do was get him to go back and verify with the letter they're on. Just same thing that the rest of the commission did. I didn't want any penalty for Robbie. I don't think you probably didn't know, and I don't blame him, because it's left up to the directors of the department to let the employees know what's in that personnel order, to give them a copy of it so they can at least go over it. And I know good well, none of the employees have been issued the personnel order.
Yes, sir, they have.
Every one of them.
Yes, sir.
Every employee.
Yes, sir. And it's on the employee website. Yes, sir. Everyone. Can't
I still
everybody
think they need to go back over and read it to let them know these persons lie. Hey, most of them's in the offices got access to it anyway. William, it's not that big a job. If they got a question about it, then they need to ask the directors. You know, I just don't want to see somebody wrote up something that, you know, they wasn't made aware. I'm not that thorough of a person. I helped work the personnel orders. I didn't know it was in there till you told me.
So basically, what you're saying is that the access is there for every employee to go to review it
Oh, yes, ma'am.
whenever they feel the need to.
Yes, ma'am. It's on the employee ESS, where you request your annual leave and your sick leave and things like that. The entire document is there. Plus, I believe it's on the website.
Well, it says equipment too, and they can be more specific when they tell the employees what the equipment is as far as things it would be. I mean, they may not be aware that a letterhead stuff is there. I just think they need to be explained and let them know. Then if they make a mistake, then you gotta, you know, to me, that you laid out the grounds to reprimand somebody.
Yes. Let me ask a question, just to make sure we're on track here. Do we all agree that the personal letterhead and the county letterhead is something that we need to have first off? Are we in agreement to what they've actually supplied us today? With us actually putting in our own information, I guess, is what he's suggesting. Are we okay with that? Are we all in agreement with that? That the personal letterhead for us and the county use is separate? We're good with that. So I guess what we need to decide on before we vote is whether or not we need to take this in detail and have some type of workshop to decide the policy in which we need to incorporate personal use of letterhead. Is that what I'm hearing?
I mean, this is, Madam Chairman, this is the workshop.
Well, I mean, meaning that specifically to actually put in wording how, if there's items that we don't need to include or use it for the personal reasons, are there, I mean, more in detail is what I'm trying to say, is for an area that we would not actually be using this letterhead to prohibit us from actually using it. I think I heard you say that earlier. Or maybe it was Don that was mentioning it earlier.
Yeah, he was saying specific. I think that
maybe like with the policy itself, to put something in there to incorporate that, which would prohibit any of us from putting an opinion in on workstation, on letterhead. You see what I'm saying? County letterhead.
I mean, it says here that you should not use that without the permission of the Board of Commissioners. So whether I'm expressing a personal opinion or I'm expressing an opinion to another commissioner or to the Planning and Development Office, whoever, it should be, and it's coming from me, it should be on my letterhead. So, and in answer to William's question, then based on this ordinance, perhaps William needs his own stationary letterhead that says that he is the county manager for Spalding County. Because when he signs this letterhead, he's signing it as if each and every one of us is aware that this is being written.
Well, I think, let me make a suggestion here. To try and come up with a very simple solution to that issue that Gwen's talking about, that we could adjust this resolution to state that this does not apply to use of the stationery by the county manager, who routinely, whenever he signs something, he signs it as county manager. which distinguishes, he's not representing that he is the Board of Commission, he's signing this as the manager. So if we simply say that that prohibition of using it for that shall not apply to the use of it by the county manager, I think we take care of that problem.
Gotcha.
Yes, sir.
We being the clerk of the county commissioners, he is acting on our behalf when he's, as county clerk, or as clerk of, for the commissioners, correct? He is the official paper holder, the official
keeper of the minutes is actually official documents as the county clerk.
Okay.
Actually, as county manager, I'm acting
For the
with
county,
with the authority of the Board of Commissioners.
So when we vote on something, you follow through by doing the letter and signing it as county manager.
Recently, all of the appointment letters that went out, I signed all those. But we have day-to-day correspondence like this utility request to install on the county right-of-way. We have lots of letters that go out. Most of those you get where I sign as county manager. It may be asking for this or saying, you know, here's a copy of the contract approved with the board. That's not a big deal. But there's a lot of utility correspondence and other correspondence that I do that's just a routine correspondence.
And we don't get that. I mean, there's tons of stuff that you sign or type up that we don't get. So, I mean, you know, I'm not trying to say, I'm saying that based on that, and I hear what Jim's saying, that we make an exception. If the board wants to do that, that's fine. But, you know, based on the premise that of why we're doing this, then why we're doing this, because we don't want one person to write a letter and it be assumed that the entire Board of Commissioners is signing it. You know, his question was valid. How does that affect me? You know, because every correspondence that he sends out is basically representing us if he's got all of our names.
We as commissioners have no authority as one. That's why we need individual letterhead stationers. When we make a vote, William is carrying out that vote by signing in as county manager with our names on it and on letterhead. Carrying through daily business, he is acting on behalf of us without sending us countless emails and without asking 1,001 times for permission to send out a letter with, you know, with our letterhead, with our names on the letterhead. William he's acting for us. We can only act as a group, the five, you know, a quorum, 3 or more. We cannot act individually on behalf of the board, but we can write our own letters, we can use our own stationery, we can use whatever paper we want minus Spalding County letterhead with the names, the official letterhead with the names and everything on it. We're diving, this is just a distractor we don't need. And I think we're diving into, you know, the deep where we don't have to. The law is clear. We as commissioners cannot act as one. We can act as a quorum. And when we have a quorum, we have approval. When we have approval, it is up to William and Kathy to follow through with what we've asked. And that is official, and that cries out for the use of letterhead of the official Spalding County government. I don't think William needs a separate letterhead.
Let me just ask, and we may be at a point of resolving this. Number one, I think we've all agreed with each individual commissioner will have his own stationery that clearly designates if this person represents this particular district. That should take care of a lot of our problems. Number two, if we had this resolution that simply said, be it resolved that no person shall use the official letterhead stationery of the Spalding County Board of Commissioners without the prior written approval of the Board of Commissioners, period. This prohibition shall not apply to use of the official letterhead stationery by the county manager, period. And that's it. Does that take care of everything?
I'm fine with that.
Okay.
can I ask you something? Now, if we use this personal thing, and I send a letter, shouldn't the county commission be aware, even though it's on Spalding County paper, even though it's individual opinion, so that if it came back on us, we know that the letter was there, it had been sent out? Like the TV station, I mean, you know, they get a hold of something.
Essentially, it is subject to open records law, so I would request that any letter that goes out with your signature, a copy be sent here for our open records retention policy, and we could PDF it to everybody else.
Yeah, to me, I think the other committee, because that's who they gonna contact.
Yes, sir, because they're going to contact
And
me.
if I don't know anything about it, you know, that'd be like a shooting in the dark. I mean,
Yes, sir.
I would think.
They are subject to open records, even though they are, because it's,
And so are your personal
Email.
computers and emails.
Everything
So
that you
all
have
I'm
stored.
saying is, be aware of that.
Mhm.
'Cause-
that's why we set up everybody a SpaldingCounty.com email address for use for county business and to discuss all county matters on, and keep that separate from your personal email address.
Something I want to add as well. So I'm hearing what Commissioner Miller is actually saying, but, and that's fine to do if you want to get a copy of what we write. That's
So if
okay.
anyone who uses the personal stationery, if they will send a copy to Kathy for our correspondence file to keep, and she will PDF it and send it out to all the boards so that you know it's gone out. Is that what you're saying?
yeah.
Okay.
Does everyone agree with that?
Is that a request or?
Well, that was what I was going to say. I was wondering, is that a mandatory thing that we do? Because that's, to me, it's the
I don't
whole
think so.
idea of
Yeah.
actually putting it on, you know, if I've got my name on here, let's say I'm writing a letter of recommendation, you know,
That's really not y'all business. If it comes back to haunt you, you'll know about it when it happens.
I would disagree. I think it is.
It's subject to open records.
okay. I just want to get that out there.
Well, I mean, and I'm not saying it's not subject to open
But I
records.
think it would, no, it definitely is subject to.
I mean, everything that you do on that.
Yeah, especially if it's got
Spalding County on it, yeah.
Yeah, but back to this, I think that, I think requesting that you send out on your own private Spalding County stationery a letter to somebody about something, I think it's only good practice to send a copy of that to Kathy, where if we get hit with an open records request and we honestly respond, we don't have this.
Yeah.
And then they come back and say, well, I got a copy right here, you people are a bunch of liars. We didn't know. So I think really that's a good practice, so everybody knows what's going on.
Yeah.
I don't think you necessarily need to make that part of your resolution, that's just be practice.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
So we don't need to implement that anywhere, we just need to make it a practice.
We
Just need to be understood.
Okay.
Yeah, and we could make a resolution, I could add to this, that copies will be forwarded to
The county clerk,
county clerk.
as official custodian of all county records.
Everybody good with that? Commissioner? Okay.
Two more
That's
things. if I may.
Okay. Y'all gonna mess this up and keep talking about it.
I don't know why they just keep going on.
We,
Get
the
paid by the hour.
Sorry.
letter that was passed down from Kelly and TJ, was that the original letter?
That is the original letter
Can we
from
get that
Kelly
back?
and TJ that
Yeah.
will be going to Judge Patton.
You
That
got
is
it? You
correct.
got it back? Here's the other one. The other thing is, where do we stand on the letter of verification to Judge Patton? How many have signed that? Saying the thing is next week, and it's not gonna do any good if we don't have that signed and gone.
We have the letter here, and it has been signed by 4 of the 5 commissioners.
Yeah, so would you pass that down so that we can get that signed and passed back so we can get that done?
Do we need to make a motion on that, or is that?
Now, the resolution will be on the next agenda.
February 2.
Okay?
All right, let's go. Let's move on.
Given that the personnel ordinance, at least on PDF, is 167 pages long, can you remind me where in the personnel ordinance it prohibits the use of of county?
Okay. I think it's under disciplinary actions.
Oh, okay. Okay.
But I'll find it.
I'll find it.
I will highlight it and send it to everybody after the meeting.
All right. I know I've seen it twice on this computer. I can't easily locate it. Thank you.
All right. Okay, moving on to agenda item number 2. Chairman Johnson requests authorization of funding of the University of Georgia Archways program as discussed at the intergovernmental retreat. All right. On January 13th of earlier this week, the Chamber of Commerce Intergovernmental Committee met with Mel Garber, the Archways Director, as a follow-up to the intergovernmental retreat that we had in October. If you look in your emails, I'm sure you all have received, or hopefully have got a chance to look at the business plan that was actually submitted by Chuck Copeland. It pretty much outlined everything that we accomplished and set forth in that retreat.
The business plan?
Well, it's a working plan.
I think it was the retreat summary that I sent out.
It looked more like a business plan to me, but just kind of like a working plan or a summary.
I think it was the retreat summary that I sent out.
It had like just kind of the actual things we talked about, some of the actions that we taken to move it forward. One of the items that we talked about was the Archway Partnership Program. And the meeting that I went to was basically a follow-up to that. Basically, that meeting was just a recount, a rehash of the presentation that Mel gave in Athens, where most of the commissioners and school board members were there. There were some that were not there, so he wanted to kind of go over the program again. And basically just kind of wanted to get a feel, the momentum was building pretty solid when we left, so we're just kind of collectively getting back together to find out what exactly we want to do, if we do indeed want to move it forward, and if so, go ahead and proceed. At the end of that meeting, there was a discussion of funding. So what we had decided, or what they had asked us to do as committee, folks that are on the committees, to go back to our respective boards to discuss it, to see if this is a program that we'd like to participate in to move it forward. There's been some changes that have gone on as far as the placement. It is suggested that if we decide to go ahead and move forward with this, they can actually include our partnership to start July 1st, which would put us ahead of everyone else, which is something that is pretty exciting to most. So the agreement is, the request, should I say, is $60,000, split $20,000 third from the city, the county, and the school board. And that $20,000, which it is a 3-year commitment, with the hopes of starting July 1st, 85% of that would include personal services, like the things that we actually do as facilitators to provide, as far as if there's any implementations they have to do, any research and data that they have to collect for any type of work-based programs that they may have. It's basically those personal services. The other 15% would basically be their travel time, and that's kind of where we are with it. The intergovernmental agreement, is planned hopes as part of this retreat package here, would like to meet again in March. So if we were to go ahead and improve the funds, we'd be ahead of the game as far as the implementation on July 1st. Pretty exciting times for us right now. As you know, the College and Career Academy is off and running pretty well with the hopes of, I believe it's starting August 1st, I believe, of this year. I think it's my understanding. And the grant for $2.1 million, they've already been awarded that. So we're in a good position right now to move forward with improving the school system, and also at the end of the day, which we all want, is the improvement of economic development. So I'm here pretty much making the pitch to my fellow commissioners here to see if there would be an interest, if we would like to go ahead and take $20,000 out of our contingency funds to fund the Archway Partnership.
I would.
Madam Chairman, I'm very disappointed that there was this meeting that was held earlier this week on the 13th, that some of us other commissioners were not offered the opportunity to go to that. And I really would like to know why that happened like that. Secondly, the very last thing that you said is that this will help with our economic development. And my question is, since that is very prevalent in what all this is going to do, why is it that we are not having any help from the Development Authority to help fund this Archway program? And then on the other hand, why aren't we having any other support from the other stakeholders? There were several stakeholders there that should be able to help fund. There was Tenet, Spalding Regional Hospital, there was Southern Crescent College, there was Gordon College, there was UGA. I mean, the whole goal I thought was that once you have skin in a game, which is what the initial facilitator and the second facilitator told us, then you have a reason to want this to be successful. I have a concern because it's come to my attention that the school board has engaged in a project with the city of Griffin where they have decided that they cannot spend educational funds in some projects that they promoted. So what guarantee do we have that the school system is going to be able to pay their portion? So, I mean, I think Archway is good, and I appreciate what the regents have done to get us on the fast track. But if this is going to be an intergovernmental retreat project, then we need to have more buy-in from the other stakeholders. It's just, and I'm not saying it's a matter of the $20,000. I think it's a matter of everybody being involved in the process, because everybody that came to those meetings is going to benefit from this.
Madam Chair, we as county commissioners are leaders within our community, just like the city commissioners and the school board members. And I think it would be great if we as the county commissioners step forward and said, we want to engage the Archway program. We want to engage the city of Griffin and the school board. Now granted, the school board by law is limited in where they can spend educational funds. That's not a choice for them, that's limitations by law. And we can't make those predictions. But if we step out as leaders of our community, like I think the city commissioners had expressed during the meeting that we had, or the retreat we had in Athens not too long ago, we have said it's important enough to for us to get out of our sandboxes and look at the entire playground. And for way too long, Spalding County, City of Griffin, and UGA, I mean not UGA, but the Griffin Spalding school system, we've worked out of our sandboxes and we haven't looked at the playground. We, as county commissioners, can step forward, say, here's our $20,000 pledge. We need $40,000 more.